You're live.
No, don't be laughing.
I hit it by accident.
Don't be live, don't be live.
Hi, guys. We'll be on with you in a minute. I hit the button by accident, so we were live a little early today. I wasn't planning on. I know you guys are seeing the thing move all over the place. So, hopefully everybody's having a good morning.
I don't know who you're talking to.
I'm talking to whoever's there because I hadn't had it loaded up on my computer yet.
Oh.
So I'm just talking away so it's not dead air. We'll be with you guys shortly.
Stop calling me shortly.
She's talking about me being a shorty. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
All right, guys, bear with me. We have just a little bit longer. Can you go help Rosemary? Ask her if she needs her clock. And that wasn't exactly what the plan was for today, but you get to see Rosemary's grand entrance. So, and we have my youngest daughter here today helping out get everything together.
No, that one. Yes, thank you, darling.
Good morning, Starshine.
Good morning, Starshine. I think it's out. It is Starshine, actually. It's good morning, Starshine.
It was an accident. That's why we're live.
I leapt up and now I'm sort of struggling to breathe. Oh, thank you, darling. No, never mind that. Thank you. I think you didn't go into the right bedroom, did you?
You went to the wrong room. Good morning, Patricia. Good morning, Stefana.
Good morning. If only I could breathe.
See, you can't make this stuff up.
Jeez. Are we live?
We are way live. We've been live.
All right then. Sorry. Hello, everyone. Oops. That's it. Oh, jeez. How did that happen?
I hit the wrong button. I don't know.
All right. Okay. All right, everybody. I'm sorry. I'm sort of can barely catch my breath. 1 second. Oh, darling, what a way to start a show. All right. Let me know when we're ready.
We're ready. We're on.
Good morning. Oh. Good morning, everyone. How are you all? How is everybody? We can see what kind of a show it's going to be today. Hi, baby boy. You gonna come up? Come on then. Come on. First of all, let me say good morning to Grey Eagle, who is always to my right side. Yeah, you can hear. Did you hear that? Good morning. That was good morning from Cheryl, who has sort of just come up onto the sofa with me. We do have a little person here today. We have.
You were talking about me again.
We have Michelle. Say good morning, Michelle.
Good morning.
And we have Michelle's daughter, who is the little person that we have, Gwendolyn. Say good morning, Gwendolyn.
Good morning.
But she doesn't want to be on the show today because she's tired. How old are you, Gwendolyn?
11.
11. She's 11 and she's tired. She's very,
I have to wake up at
tired.
6 o'clock every day on the
You
weekend.
didn't wake up at 6 o'clock today. You're on.
Anyway, that's it. All right, girls, that's enough. Right, so she's a little bit tired, so she's not going to be on the show. However, you might hear comments from her from time to time. If you'd like to comment on anything at all, Gwendolyn, that goes on this morning, okay, I'll ask you to comment. So yes, no, or no? Absolutely, yes. That was a very tired, exhausted yes. You know, when I was 11 years old, I remember waking up one morning and I couldn't move my limbs at all. I don't know if you've ever told this story. could not move my legs or my arms. They were like dead weights on me. And I was diagnosed, the doctor was called eventually, and I was diagnosed as having rheumatoid arthritis. I'm not even sure that that was actually true. But in those days, sort of just, but anyway, I was like that. I had to sit in a chair. Couldn't even lift a spoon to my mouth. I mean, my legs and my arms were completely dead weights. And it was at 11 years old. Can you imagine, Gwendolyn, if you wake up one morning and that's how it is for you? Is that scary? That would be scary, right? Well, it was very, very scary for me. It took about 2 weeks before I was able to actually even lift my hand that far. It took a long while, and pain medicines and so on and so forth. But at 11 years old, you do wonder what on earth is going on with you. And after that little bout, I rarely stayed in bed for very long at all, because I was so glad that I was able to just move, because I started panicking at one point, thinking that this was going to be it for the rest of my life. But it was very scary. There are people out there, there are people who are listening who have some sort of a disease like that. There are people who have children who are disabled or infirm. There are lots of people out there struggling with so many different ailments and illnesses. And while everyone is panicking and talking about the coronavirus, can we just take a moment, take a breath, take a step back, and think about all those people who every single day have to battle with illness of one kind or another. And the idea and the fear that sort of very often takes hold of people when you think of something that could invade your body and start to destroy your body. There are people who live with that every single day. So instead of panicking about what is happening to us or may happen to us or is possible going to happen to us around the corner, perhaps we could just take a minute to send out our healing prayers to all of those people who struggle every single day with some infirmity or another. And it's always amazing to me how strong they can be, and how very often how even through pain and adversity they can give a smile. So let's stop the panic, can we? Let's take a breath. Let's stop the panic. Yesterday I heard the news that there were no stores open in Italy because all the food was gone. Today it is the opposite story. Yesterday I heard about the millions of people who were affected. Today I heard that there were 20 people in New York affected. Come on, everybody, take a breath, step back. And this is the time when we have to live our faith. It's all very well having faith in God. It's all very well praying to God. It's all very well saying that you've got to believe in God. But there are times in our lives when we have to live our faith. So if we could, instead of panicking and worrying about what is around the corner, take a moment and focus on those people who perhaps need our help right now. They need our prayers right now. They are the people who suffer every single day. They are the heroes in our lives. Let's take a moment for them. Right, how are we doing? Anybody? Is there anybody there? I love saying that, because
It reminds me of that Pink Floyd song. Is there anybody out there?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, in years ago, and I think in some circles people still do it now, mediums would sit in a dark room, the lights would be off, curtains drawn, and everybody would hold hands around the table, and the medium would then say in this kind of nice, lovely, spooky voice, which, because my voice is as it is at the moment, I can do beautifully, and they would say, is there anybody there? And sometimes I've actually in my lifetime being on stage talking to audiences, I've actually had thousands of people holding hands, and I've actually said to them all, okay, all at once, everybody say, is there anybody there? And they do it beautifully, and it's such a fun thing to do. Is there anybody there? Michelle?
We have about 12 people on.
Great. All right.
We do have a couple questions. We had a couple that were emailed in prior to the show, so we'll take those first.
Well, I do actually believe that we have a question from yesterday as well,
Yes,
which we
that's on the list. It's a first one, actually.
which we didn't
We
for
missed
some
it
reason or
by
another.
accident.
We missed it yesterday, so we're going to address that as well. But Michelle, you're in charge of which order they come in, so let's go for it.
Actually, her question is the very first one.
But and who is it?
It was from Ruth Ann.
Ruth Ann. Good
And
morning, Ruth Ann.
It was asked yesterday on our healing show, and we missed it.
Oh, we did. I'm sorry, Ruth Ann. We didn't intentionally miss it, you know.
I'm fixing it. It says, how will we recognize our loves in heaven since we will not be in our bodies?
Well, you know, we take with us the etheric body or the spirit body, same shape, same size, which is why when people like myself will see people in the spirit world, we don't see them as bodily, you know, entities, you know, floating around out there. We do see them as quite solid and quite, you know, in their, let's say in their, almost in their human form, because the etheric body, the spirit body, is the same shape, the same size. You know, this explains why, you know, if somebody has a leg amputated, we hear the stories of they still think their leg is there. They feel it. They can still wriggle their toes, in fact. Of course, not possible physically, but in a spiritual sense, of course, very possible. The etheric body, the spirit body, is indestructible. You cannot destroy it. It is indestructible. It is of the spirit, not of the physical self, but mirrors the physical self. So, of course, you know, there you have it. That's how we're going to recognize them. Next question. How are we doing?
Next question is from Lori.
Good morning, Lori.
And I'm going to shorten this just a little bit because it's very long. Very, very long.
All right.
She emailed in a question that is asking, okay, it starts off with that she's noticed a lot of advertisements for toilet paper in the past few weeks on Facebook, online. She says, and then on YouTube and even on the news, they're showing transport trucks on major highways carrying toilet paper that had turned over and the rolls were all over the place. She says, suddenly, with the virus scare, there's a run on toilet paper and the stores are empty for supplies of it. The symptoms of the virus are respiratory, not gastrointestinal. Can Grey Eagle comment on whether there's a subliminal message in the media with this toilet paper nonsense and the panicked and crazy over hoarding the tissue suddenly?
Well, you know, Grey Eagle is laughing at me and telling me just to go ahead and answer this. Of course, you know, it's panic, and panic again. We had last week in the news that there was no pasta to be had in Italy in the stores. All of the stores had run out of pasta. Well, you might say, you know, again, it's not a gastro disease. But people do that. They panic. It's almost like, you know, sort of let's bury ourselves in the trenches now. My daughter Samantha, who does not panic, and I refuse to allow her to panic, and we've had conversations, and I've had conversations with my 7-year-old grandson as well. She went to the store, couldn't find toilet paper, not just toilet paper, my darling, it couldn't also find any kitchen towel. And it's because a lot of people don't want, it's very simple, a lot of people don't want to go out and about. They think if they stay in their houses and they hoard all this stuff and they store it all, they won't have to go out. And so the chances of them catching the virus are going to be less and less because they're staying home and staying and staying safe. But please, I said yesterday, I'll say it again today, just, you know, life always throws us curveballs. This virus, you know, I'm trying to think I was going to give you the date then, but, you know, they had in Victorian London, they had the plague they had, which wiped out actually more than half of London's citizens in those days. They had lots of other diseases. In lots of countries, they have lots of diseases, they have lots of viruses, they have lots of stuff going on. And all we can do is to take care, wash our hands, make sure that our homes are clean, make sure that when we go out, we, if we are in a crowded place, if you feel safer with a mask, wearing a mask, wear a mask or whatever. Just take some sensible precautions, which is really all about cleanliness. Look on the internet. There are so many things going on. So much information about boosting your immune system. Taking stuff that boosts your immune system. I actually, because I was not eligible to get an influenza shot or a pneumonia shot this year. They refused me. So I went to the Chinese herbalist and I got a whole load of stuff. And let me tell you, it worked. For the first time in 5 years, I did not have pneumonia this year. Excuse me. Even though I've had the flu and even though I've had, bronchial stuff. And, you can do so much to help yourself. And so rather than going to the negative or, panicking, about what could happen, what might happen, try and be constructive rather than negatively destructive. Try and think, what can you do to help yourself? So, go on the internet, look up the stuff that you need to boost your immune system. Make sure that you do it. You don't rely on the doctors and the medical profession, although they'll come up with something. There's an absolute certainty. But don't rely on them to do all of the work. Do some of it yourself and take sensible precautions. Eat properly and, wrap up warm when you're... all that stuff. I mean, come on. You're adults. Stop panicking. Life is not coming to an end for everybody because of this virus. It really isn't. And there are so many more things that we need to be worrying about. So please take a breath, take a step back. I do understand why people are panicking about this. I do get it, but stop it. Don't go out and buy the entire shop. Think about other people who need things as well. If you're going to take all the toilet paper off of the shelves, what about the person who comes in after you? Oh, you don't care? Well, start caring, because the only way in our lives, when life throws you a curveball, when these things happen, the only way that we're going to survive is by helping each other and joining together to fight whatever it is we need to fight. Let's have our next...
Dean actually made a good point to go along with what you were saying.
Good morning, Dean. I hope you're feeling better. I hope your hole in your head is healing.
He said that a lot of people are buying up the toilet paper because they're being quarantined and they don't want to run out while they're in quarantine.
Right.
But...
or they fear they're going to be quarantined.
I'm not going to lie. We buy toilet paper and we use it as tissues because it's softer than the Kleenex most of the time. So when we're sick, we'll use toilet paper as our Kleenex.
Well, there you are. I mean, just remember there are other people in similar situations to yourself. If you're going to buy it all up, oh, well, that's me then. I'm all right. Forget about everybody else. No. That's not the way to do it. Thanks, Dean, for that. Next question.
Okay, so now we're starting.
Or comment or anything.
We're starting with the questions on our live, and Stefina.
Good morning, Stefina.
Says, my parents attack me always. Please help me.
I don't even know what that means, my darling. And if you don't want to tell us here and now, you don't want to be specific about it, please email me, rosemary@rosemaryaLtea.com. We'll try and help you the best way that we can. But please, can you explain that? I need to know how old you are, and I need to know what way this is going on before I can actually help you. Okay? Next question.
This one's not a question, but it kind of cracks me up. Elisa says, "Hi, Rosemary."
Good morning, Elisa.
And reading lady.
And what? Lady?
Reading lady.
And what?
Reading lady.
And reading.
That would be me. The reading lady.
Oh, yeah.
As I said, that one just kind of cracked me up. I liked it.
That's Michelle. Our reading lady's Michelle. That's so nice of you. Go on.
Lori said, "Thank you for the question. It's craziness. Common sense has gone out the window." Dean made a comment, but we'll skip that one.
Why? Come on.
He's talking about using corn cobs for toilet paper.
Moving on.
Exactly.
You are such a sweetheart, Dean. If I didn't love you so much, I'd kick you off for that.
Starshine.
Yes.
Hers is a little bit more somber. It says, "My dear friend committed suicide a few days ago, and when I attended her wake, unknowingly I wore my butterfly necklace. When I arrived, her mother was wearing a beautiful butterfly necklace also. She said the poem on her memorial card was about butterflies. Coincidental or wishful thinking, or was she sending us a message?"
Well, I don't believe in coincidence, and wishful thinking is really hopeful thinking. So that's nothing wrong with that. But I think, come on, you already know the answer. Of course, she was sending you a message. Of course, she was. She was. The butterfly. The Apache believe that the butterfly is the symbol of eternal happiness and joy, and when you sort of go into that a little bit, eternal happiness, it's sort of, the butterfly, the way that it comes out of its chrysalis, the way of the birth and so on and so forth. It's quite a miracle, isn't it? And life is quite a miracle. I'm very sad for you for the loss of your friend, but Gradle has put his hand on my shoulder as I'm speaking to you here, and I can tell you that she is safe and well and with her butterflies. So how nice is that? Next question, Michelle.
Well, Cheryl actually has a comment.
Go.
She says, "Sometimes
morning.
I think
Good
our
morning,
minds..."
Cheryl. Good morning, Cheryl.
"Sometimes I think our minds will make us sick just worrying about everything going on."
Yeah. It's true. It's true. And we sort of get, we can get this stuff into our head. I think I've told this story before, years ago, it was in the 70s. Russia had their satellites, not satellites, their rockets or whatever it was they had trained on certain areas in England. And I walked into a friend's house one day and he had one of these big wall calendars, and I'm sort of just idly looking on the wall calendar and I see September, and he's written quite clearly World War III. And I looked at him and I said, what are you talking about? Well, he said, the Russians, and they've got their stuff trained on us, and it takes one push of the button and the whole of England will be wiped out, and so on and so forth. And I became paranoid. My daughter at the time was 5 or 6, so it was 1975 or 1976. I became so paranoid. I watched the news. I read every paper. I watched every news program I possibly could. I gleaned as much information about, what was happening, and I got so paranoid and also so frightened and trying to figure out when it happens, what am I going to do and how am I going to protect Samantha and so on and so forth. And I think a lot of people were like that, and as a very protective mother, of course, my concern was, what do I, when this comes, because everybody was talking about it, it was so certain it was going to be the end of, not necessarily the end of the world, but it was certainly going to be the end of my country. And so September came and went, and so I'm thinking, well, maybe they meant October, and October came and went, and well, maybe they meant, November, and eventually it became really, really clear, and then people started talking about other things, that there was no such thing going to happen. And I was so annoyed with myself, and I was so annoyed that I had bought into the panic. So, and from then on and to this day, I never watch the news ever. I can't remember the last time I had a newspaper in my hand. It's got to be more years than I can count. The most amazing thing is I still know a lot about what's going on in the world. I still know a lot about the news. When friends talk to me about, oh, did you hear about so and so and such, I am able to keep up with current affairs, but never again will I allow myself to buy into the panic. That creates more disaster and more disaster. And I think what happens when people panic, which is happening now, and I do wish people would sort of take a breath and sort of sit quietly, trust in God and trust in the process. Just trust that whatever is meant to be for us is meant to be. There's nothing we can do about it. That doesn't mean we have to sit idly by. As I've said, we can take all the precautions. We can do things to build our immune system. We can make sure that we're clean, that they say cleanliness is next to godliness. Actually, cleanliness is next to healthiness, I think. So make sure that you are clean, that that your home is clean, that you wash your hands on a regular basis. If you're out and about, make sure that you wash your hands and you take the necessary precautions, and that's all you need to do. And then all you need to do after that is to trust in the process. Nature has a way of weeding out. Nature has its way of getting rid of unnecessary stuff. We've had 2 major world wars. Aside from in America they've had other wars. In lots of countries they've had other wars. Is it nature's way of weeding people out, of getting the population back down to a conceivably manageable number? Who knows? But I, for one, am trusting in God and trusting in the process, and that's all we can do really at the end of the day. And that's what I'm suggesting that everybody does. Please stop panicking. Stop the panicking, because it just causes negativity. It's sort of getting to a point now where it's sort of becoming a little bit of a mass hysteria in certain areas. And just please apply common sense. Keep your feet on the ground. Do the best you can, and let go and let God. Let's have another question or a comment, shall we?
Well, I'm going to say the whole name because I just love this Indian name. It says Bear Medicine Walker.
Good morning. I know exactly who this is. Hi, darling. How are you?
He says, hola, Rosemary and crew. And that was all that there was. I just liked it, though. Starshine said...
You see, you've got to write more often just to put a smile on Michelle's face.
Starshine said, thank you, Rosemary and Grey Eagle and the Reading Lady. LOL. That's my new name, apparently. Jennifer is on.
Morning, Jennifer.
She said, you recommended last week that I try your meditation tapes. Where can I buy them? By the way, I've been meditating every day. It's still a challenge, but I won't give up on it. I feel more relaxed and positive.
Good.
So
good.
I just sent her the, if she emails us, I'll send her the link directly to
we
it.
are actually working on getting everything up on on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon. We are like that close to it.
Yeah, super close.
We've actually, have we found now? You have to, it's not a simple case of just putting it out there.
Yeah.
Apparently you have to find an agent of some kind.
A distributor.
You have to find a distributor. And we've been working on that specifically this week. And in fact, on Tuesday when Michelle came in, I said, right, I don't want to do anything else. Let's focus on this. So very soon you'll be able to get those, really very soon, you'll be able to get all of the all of the meditations on from all of those places. In the meantime, if you would like a hard copy CD, then you just need to email us, Rosemary at rosemaraltea.com. Michelle will answer you. We'll send you one. She'll tell you what to do, and we'll send you one out. So,
May even sign it for you.
Oh, and I might even sign it for you. You never know your luck. Right.
Cheryl would like to know, will a white light help us stay healthy?
Yes. Focus on that fabulous white light. Focus on that God force. Focus on. Go to if you didn't manage to see it yesterday, go to our healing our healing hour, Hands Around the World. We were on yesterday. You will find it. Where will
It's
they
still
find
not on
it?
YouTube yet because it won't let me.
It won't, for some reason or another,
download
it
it.
won't let us download it, but you can find it on Facebook, my Facebook page, nevertheless, the healing page.
Yeah.
I do describe how you can, create these wonderful colors, these different types of energy that can help to protect you. And every time we send out a prayer is a thought is a living thing, tiny little pulse of energy that goes out into the universe. And the more people we can get to send out more pulses of energy, more thoughts, collective thoughts, work wonders. So yes, think of that just beautiful golden bright white light. Yes, next.
Okay. Patricia is on.
Good morning, Patricia.
She says, could there be some nefarious reason behind all of the coronavirus hype? We all know that people kept in fear are easier to control.
Of course. Well, Patricia, there could be. I'd rather not go there, because whatever nefarious deeds are going on in our government and in the many governments around the world, and we know it happens, don't we? Sort of so many religions are fear-based, so many belief systems are fear-based, because years ago, before people were educated, before we had Google that we could look up, before we had all of that stuff, people our teachers, our religious instructors, our leaders would often use fear in order to control their people. So yes, I don't think the media help in any way, shape or form. They just love to just dish out the negative, don't they? They just love to give us the numbers, and who cares? They certainly don't whether they're telling us what's real or not. And if you take a look at the news over the last 2 weeks, every day you see something come up, and every other day you see something that denies or totally is opposite to what we've been told 2 days before. So let's not buy into that. Let's move forward. We are, Al Pisano and I, this evening, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we are going to be on our Everything is Attitude show. We are going to be discussing mass hysteria. We're going to be discussing how it happens. We're going to be talking about certain instances of when it happened, and things that always negativity in mass hysteria, always negativity. And if you out there are listening to this and buying into that hysteria, you are also helping to create that negativity that is so out there. Can we just please, I'm all for positivity. Help yourself. You can help yourself. Take a breath. Don't just say, I believe. Live your faith. This is the moment when you have an opportunity to live your faith. I'm not saying just, lay back and just do nothing. Again, wash your hands. Make sure you keep yourself clean. Go find out how to boost your immune system. All those things. And especially for those of us who have children or grandchildren, talk to them. But talk to them reasonably, positively. Tell them what they can do to help themselves, as opposed to scaring them witless. So, don't let fear freeze you. Fear just freezes into inaction. Let's have another question or comment. I don't really want to talk anymore about the coronavirus, by the way. I think I've said...
Everybody wants to talk about it, though. Everybody's in hysteria over it.
All right, then. We'll go ahead, then. Whatever it is.
Bear Medicine Walker.
Yes.
He says, I never watch the news. She says, I never watch the news. People are creating the issues. And then she says, healing. Love you guys. You know that.
We love you too.
And let's see. Next we have Lori, and Lori says I haven't watched the news either, and I always trust what I need to see will show up.
That's about, living your faith. Good for you, Laurie.
And then we have Twiggy.
Oh.
And Twiggy says,
Twiggy, good morning.
I like Twiggy.
I love Twiggy. She's gorgeous.
I have a question for Grey Eagle.
Okay.
How far into the future can he see from the spirit world? Can he see things that definitely will happen as well as things that may or may not happen?
There are certain inevitabilities in life, things that absolutely happen that are ordained or preordained and that will happen. And then there are things that, depending on the choices that we make, whether those choices are choices that our government make or whether they're choices that people make, individuals make, there are choices that can not necessarily avert our futures, or should I say divert, but that can change our path and put us on either a more positive path or a more negative path. I was talking to a young lady this week, and I made it very clear to her, these are the things that can happen. These are the things that are possible in your life, and these are the things that are inevitable in your future. But here are some things you have choices about. You make the choice, and if you make a choice to be negative or you go down that negative path, then you choose to allow this to happen. But if you choose a more positive path, then you allow this to happen. So, how far can Grey Eagle see into infinity, apparently? How far do we want to see? I get very nervous about this foreseeing stuff because, I see things I'd really rather not see. Those people, those of you out there who think, oh, I'd love to be able to see the future, trust me, no, you wouldn't. Sometimes it's better not to know things, but at the same time, because there are things that are preordained and because there are things that we have choices about, this is why I'm saying, will you just please stop the panicking? Please, please, please stop the panicking and trust and know that God and our angels are dealing with this stuff. Yes.
Rosa's on.
Good morning, Rosa.
And says, Rosemary, I've tried to get the Eagle and the Rose in Italian and can't find it anywhere. I've searched your publisher, but nothing.
We have some. If you go to Sperling and Kupfer, the Italian publishers, if you write to them, Sperling and Kupfer in their offices are in Milan. Sperling is simple, Kupfer is spelled K-U-P, Kupfer. K-U-P-F-E-R, I think it is. Yeah. Anyway, or if you write to us, if you email me, rosemary@rosemaryalaltea.com, and don't we have any more Italian eel and rose? I bet we do. So we're not sure. Now I'm not sure. Anyway, you can email us and we can try to see. But the best bet is, bookstores in Italy, the publisher in Italy, Sperling and Kupfer, and that's where you can find it. Also, I think if you go into somewhere like Barnes and Noble or somewhere like that, you can actually, they will order it for you. You can have them order it for you. Yes. Yes.
Okay, next, Bear Medicine Walker says, if you have iTunes and it can go anywhere, which is what we're trying to do, and she says that iTunes is free to set up, Miss Rosemary, but that's the problem that we found is they want a distributor in order for you to sell on there.
Yeah, they are free to set up, my darling, but they require you to have a distributor, and that's okay. It's just finding the right distributor for our kind of thing. But thank you for that. We appreciate it.
Harish is on.
Who?
Harish.
Harish. Good morning, Harish. Harish, I think it is.
Harish.
Yes.
Says, good morning, Rosemary.
Yes.
I
good
want to
morning.
focus my concentration on my son who passed away last year, but my anger is distracting my focus to those people who neglected him in the pool.
Oh, darling. Well, we know this story.
We do.
Harry, it's, you have to allow yourself this grieving time. I think trying to, sort of do the right thing, feel the right thing, be the right thing, it's wonderful, but give yourself a break, my love. Of course you're going to feel anger. Of course you are. I would. Anyone would. You are human. That doesn't mean that you're a bad person, and it doesn't mean that the light won't come gradually. I know that your son would like it if you could find a way to deal with that anger, but don't try to shut it down. Just try to allow it to allow yourself to take a look at it and allow yourself to to sort of process it. I think that part of the reason is, the part of the anger is towards your own self. And it's so easy to point the finger, and it is so easy to lay blame. So sort of allow it to, allow yourself to process it. Don't give yourself a hard time because you're feeling this way. It is a perfectly natural and also a perfectly, it's a process that everybody who is grieving goes through, no matter what and no matter for what reason a person is grieving. Anger is always part of that process. So don't give yourself a hard time, darling. Don't beat yourself up over it. And your son is still there, still with you, and helping you to deal with all of this. Yes, next.
Fair Medicine Walker says, I have been healing from spine surgery.
Now, listen, I love you, and I love the fact that you love this name, but I think Fair Medicine Walker, my darling girl, you've had more than enough. You've been healing from surgery, so come on, and let's give everybody else an opportunity now, Michelle, please.
I'm reading everybody's.
Yeah, okay. All right.
It says, I have been healing from spine surgery since this past July, having issues with it, not sure which way to go. And by the way, St. Francis kicked my butt during surgery.
Good, I'm glad to hear it. You probably needed it. All right, we'll send you healing. We probably already have you on our healing list, I would think. But, we'll send you healing, my love. And if you want to email us and sort of give us one or two more details, we can figure out how we can help you. Okay.
Cheryl.
Good morning, Cheryl.
Says, I have noticed an increase in cancer in animals. My nutmeg passed from lymphoma, and I wonder if it mirrors what's happening with the human population.
I think, I think a lot of, I do hear what you're saying actually, and I do think that, I think that the foods that we eat, the environments that we put ourselves into, really the body is going to react, and with our animals, of course, it's the same thing. We live in an age of let's get this quick stuff. I was at the vet with Cachorro on Monday, and I was told, you need to feed him soft food for the next few weeks, which is fine by me. He said, so just buy canned food. I don't give my dog canned food. I cook. I give him chicken, I give him liver, I give him ground beef. I make sure that he doesn't have too much protein because it's not apparently good for him. Now, that's only because of a certain condition that he has. But I try my very best to feed when I eat myself. I don't eat a lot of processed or prepared foods. I prepare my own. I think it makes a huge difference, and I have actually given my puppies canned food on those very rare occasions, and I have to say very rare occasions, but I never buy in canned food. I don't have canned food in the house. I like to cook for my for my animals and for Cachorro, and he's an old man, so he deserves my cooking. That's how I think about it, and he loves it anyway. So I think that a lot of it is diet, a lot of it is the quick fix, a lot of it is, the buying of stuff instead of thinking about what you're going to give, not just to yourself or to your animals. But I do agree that it seems to be more and more prevalent. I do wonder, though, whether that it really is more prevalent, or whether it is better diagnosed today than it used to be, even 10 or 15 years ago. Because a lot of things were not diagnosed, so therefore we didn't necessarily know that our puppies had cancer, did we? They just they died of whatever it was. Let's move on. Whenever I've got two heads poring over the computer here, they whisper to each other, try this one or that. I don't know what you're whispering to each other, but do we have a question coming up, Michelle?
Yes, we have lots. I'm just trying to figure out how to put this in.
Well, just
we're going to
give
do
it to
Sister
me.
Regina's question.
Good morning, good morning, Sister Regina, and just give it to me as she
because
gives
you've
it to
already
me.
touched on this, so
Just
it says,
give it to me.
what do you make of the whole virus thing? The flu is worse, but it seems people are nutty.
Yes. And my darling, it's a great question, and I already did it, but thank you very much for joining in. Thank you for asking. But yes, people can be a little crazy, can't they? It's that sort of mass thing that is the worrisome thing as far as I'm concerned. We should talk more about that tonight with Al Pisano on our Everything Is Attitude show at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Yes, let's have another question.
Patricia says that she totally agrees about the fear factor, that she won't go there or let her family go there.
Good. I won't let my kids go there either. I refuse.
Deborah is on.
Morning, Deborah.
And she says, as of late, I'm hearing noises in my house in the middle of the night.
Oh.
My animals seem to be upset. Can you tell me if somebody is trying to get my attention and who it might be?
Well, it could be just the wind, I mean, I don't live in your house, but if you've sort of gone through all of the sensible stuff, keep your feet on the ground, please. Don't immediately go to the, it's got to be a spooky thing. Sort of go through is there a window open allowing noises to, the wind coming in or so on and so forth. But, very often our loved ones in the spirit world, they will come to us, and not always in the night time, they'll come to us in the daytime as well. But I think in the night time is when we are sort of more aware and more and listening more. So it is very likely that someone's trying to get in touch with you. So what you need to do is to listen a bit more carefully and, pay attention, but don't just apply the 3-time rule. If you hear it once, maybe. If you hear it twice, it's possible. If you hear it 3 times, accept it for what it is, and then listen and wait for the next thing, which you then apply the 3-time rule to. But how exciting for you this must be. Don't be afraid. Just pay attention, listen. Yes, next.
So Mary is on.
Good morning, Mary.
And she said, please, concerning my husband and my children, are my angels and gray eagles trying to tell me something I need to know?
I was about to say, I've no idea what it is you're talking about, but I'm asking Greg to put that thing down. I'm asking Greg. We've got a little 11-year-old playing on the table. Greg actually is saying to you what I just said to somebody else, which is interesting. You need to pay attention and you need to listen more. So I think you need to listen more. Not sure what that means. If you want more information or if you're worried or whatever, please email me and give me more details. We'll see what we can do for you. Yes, Michelle.
Okay. Sister Regina says, what causes a sudden allergy to gluten? Gluten and eggs. I had this happen after an epidural shot.
Well, that could do it. Anything could do it. I mean, it could simply be your age, or it could be what you're eating, and or it could be the medicines that you're taking. Every medicine that we take, even aspirin, it sort of changes the the configuration of our bodies. It can change lots and lots of things. So perhaps it's not so important to worry about what has caused it rather than to how to deal with it. At least you know it, at least you know what's happening, and at least you know how to deal with it. And there are lots and there's so much information out there. And I think, I'm not sure if we shouldn't all go gluten-free anyway. It's not a bad idea, is it? Yes, Michelle.
The next one is from Rosa, and she says she just wanted to thank you for asking Grey Eagle to send her protection. It's helped with her horrible dreams that she's not having anymore.
Rosa, I'm really glad. I'm really, really pleased that's been helpful. We still have you on our healing list, though, just let me tell you. So we're still sending that light out to you. Yes, next.
Randy said hello, everyone.
Hi, Randy. How are you? We want to know more about how you are. So is that it then? Are we done for the day?
That's all I've got for right now.
All right. So, I'm going to tell you a cowboy story. While you all gather yourselves together, anyone wants to ask another question. We're talking about mass hysteria. In years gone by, so many of the hangings, not just cowboy stories actually, because let's say in the South, so many of the hangings of the black community by whites, the Ku Klux Klan. If you go back even before then, when it was the Wild West, it just needs a group of people. It can be a small group of people. It can be 3 people who start this scare. It's called scaremongering. And before you know it, you've heard of lynch mobs. You've heard of how mobs, in Egyptian times, they used to stone their victims. People who would never hurt a fly suddenly find themselves lifting a stone and pelting at some poor person, killing. It's sort of like you get the killing bug. And it's sort of lynch mobs in every part of the world happened. Now they don't so much happen anymore because we have law and order, don't we? We have policing. We have, we're more educated now. We are, we have those laws that say, that if you kill, it sort of stops us in our tracks a little bit, stops us from getting that mob mentality. But that mob mentality is so frightening and so scary because people who are normally mild and reasonable people in our history will show us have completely gotten caught up in that mob hysteria, that mob mentality, where they would do things or join in with things, carrying somebody, dragging someone to a tree where they would throw a rope over and hang them, or where they would stone them, or whatever, and on it goes. History shows us that mob mentality is really dangerous. And even though there are those people in that mob who are normally kind, gentle, reasonable people, that mob mentality, when this mass collective thought of energy, mass energy gets together and creates this awful thing that we find ourselves doing things that we would never ever consider doing had we been apart from the mob, had we stepped aside from the mob. Now, it's the same thing every time there is a scare. I think 2 years ago it was the mosquito something or another. My sister actually cancelled her trip here because she was afraid that she'd be bitten by some weird mosquito that was only in the jungles of somewhere or another. You notice that there's no news media covering that anymore. I wonder why that is, because it was all over the place and everybody started getting worried and people stopped coming to Florida and people stopped going to hot places because God forbid there should be a mosquito that might bite them and kill them, and on it goes. Mob mass hysteria. You know, we talk about healing and you hear me say the more people who join with us, hands around the world, and they join with us, and the more people that send out our healing prayers, the more we use our collective thoughts and our collective thought process, the more powerful that energy can be. By the same token, the more we allow our fears to run riot in our lives, the more we join in with that collective, because it is becoming a collective negative hysteria about what might happen, and how we're all going to die, and so on and so forth. We are approaching the same kind of thing that mob hysteria caused all those years ago. That that lynch mob, it was called a lynch mob for a reason. It was a mob of people all buying into each other's negativity, all buying into each other's energy, and that energy was was so strong and so powerful, it affected all of those people in that mob to do things that, as I say, they would not ordinarily do. If we can understand that, in some way this is happening again, please, can you step out of this mob mentality? Can you step back from this mob mentality? Do not allow your fear to crush you. Do not allow your fear to determine your next move. Do not allow your fear to immobilize you into being that normal, common sense person that you always are. Again, a little bit of fear is healthy. Wash your hands, do the things that you're supposed to do, all of that stuff, but don't let it immobilize you, and don't join in with the crowd. Don't, when you can look at history, Pol Pot, Hitler, look at the crowds that were roused, that absolutely roused, mob hysteria. People did things. They, the Jews in the camps, in the ovens, that on and on and on it goes. We do things in, when we get that mass, that collective negative thought process going, and we allow it to overtake us, we do things and we behave in ways that we wouldn't normally behave. Take a step back, get yourself out of that frame of mind. Learn to live your faith and to trust in the process. Do everything you are humanly you possibly able to do, like cleanliness, like boosting your immune system, like making sure that you're doing the right thing for yourself and your family. Be the calm amongst this storm, because the more of us who stay calm, the less the storm will rage around us, and eventually common sense hopefully will take over. Do we have any other comments or questions before we
Jennifer
end
has purchased your meditation CDs.
Oh.
She just posted it in here that she just did it, so I told her we'd get them out to her tomorrow.
Oh. All right then.
We have more.
Okay, they are. I do like to think that they are great meditations. Every one of them is me. You'll hear my dulcet tones talking to you and guiding you through these meditations. Did she buy the 4 or did she buy
the 4?
Well,
set.
Well, what we're going to do is I'm going to send you also. There is another CD that we have which is phenomenal. It's a CD with my friend and patient Bob. Bob was a patient of mine. He had brain cancer, and his story is an incredible one. I can't remember which book you can read his story in now, but anyway, you can read it in one of the books. And he he was brought to our healing centre, not quite kicking and screaming, but a little bit. And he sort of stayed on the sidelines for all of about an hour, listening, watching everything that we did and so on. And eventually he did accept healing from me and from my team, and he became a regular. He There's a funny story that goes along with this. He had all of the meditations, and every morning he would put a meditation on. He found them very useful, very helpful. But what he used to do is he would lay on the kitchen floor, and he had this sound system in his house that sort of literally filled the house. So he would sort of why he would lay on the kitchen floor, no idea. But anyway, that was his place, and he loved to lay on the kitchen floor, and he would just lay there, close his eyes, and listen to the meditations surrounding him. And he just got so much from them. Unfortunately, one morning his mother walked in on him, saw him laid prone on the floor with his arms crossed like this, and started screaming because she thought he was dead. When he sat up, she screamed some more because all of a sudden he was raised from the dead. And they when they were telling me, they were laughing so hard about that situation. But I asked Bob, because of his situation, because of his circumstances, I asked him if he would come with me to a studio. I had this studio where this young man used to help me with recording sessions and so on. And I asked Bob, would he come with me? So I picked him up this particular day, and we drove to the studio. And as we're driving to the studio, he said, oh, wait a minute. He started panicking a little bit. Wait a minute, Rosemary, I don't have a script. And I looked at him, I said, we're not going to use a script. I'm going to talk to you, you're going to talk to me, we're going to see how it goes, and we're just going to do it. He looked at me as if I was crazy. He said, you don't have a script for me? And I said, no, I want you to, whatever it is you say has to come from you, not from me. So we spent the next hour in the recording studio, and I'd ask him questions, he'd answer. He basically was talking about, from his perspective as a person who has cancer, what he thought was the best thing to do, how he felt. It's an amazing CD. And as you just bought those 4 CDs, we're going to send you that one as well, my lovely, just for you. But anyone else who wants it, you got to pay for it. They're not that expensive, are they? They're really not. But anyway, so we'll send you that as a gift for being so quick off the mark. How's that sound to you? Any more questions? Any more comments?
Well, Patricia would like to know if we'll ship to Switzerland, that she'll pay the postal. Patricia, she would like to know if we would ship to Switzerland, and I told her that yes, because she said she'd pay the extra postal.
We actually ship all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
You do have to pay for them, and you do have to pay postage, but if you email us, rosemary@rosemaraltea.com, excuse me, and deal with Michelle, and she'll tell you all about what you have to do and how much it's going to cost you and all of that stuff. And I don't deal with any of that. She knows it all, and she's super efficient. So email us, rosemary@rosemaraltea.com. She'll get back to you as soon as she can, and she'll let you know how much it's all going to be.
Starshine.
Morning Starshine again. You've been on before, but that's okay.
Thank you for all your healing and support. Much love, Rosemary, Grey Eagle, and Michelle.
Thank you. It's our pleasure, actually. Sorry. My voice is going a little bit, if you notice, but anyway, yeah.
Twiggy says, everyone where I work is starting to work from home full-time temporarily.
Yeah.
And that she'll start working from home full-time next week.
Yeah.
That they even close the schools.
Yeah, they're closing the schools in New York, I think, next week. I'm not sure, but I think next week.
They're not closing us. We're already closed next week.
The borders are closed as far as New York is concerned. This is going to affect so many businesses. It's going to affect the economy. So, we need to sort of watch out for that. Do not get nervous. Do not panic. It is what it is. We can't do anything to change any of this. We can only change our own attitude. We're going to be talking more about that with Al Pisano tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Yes, anything else, Michelle?
Patricia said, "What about all of those killer bees that were allegedly coming from Africa?"
Oh, I know. What happened to them, by the way?
They're still around,
Don't say
floating
that.
around in the ocean.
Don't say that. Forget that. Yes, exactly. You know, if we started to think of everything that could go wrong in our lives and focus on everything that could go wrong in our lives, none of us would go out. None of us would even go to the store. We'd all have our own little back gardens where we grew things and kept chickens and things like that. Unfortunately, we don't do that anymore. Life is not like that for us. We take it as it comes. Find the joy in life. Anything else?
Sister Regina said that she had a dream that her husband died again. He was wrapped in a white sheet in my bed. I got the funeral things done and it didn't work out. I came back home and he was back in my bed yawning.
Okay then. Well, thank you for letting us know about that. And I've nothing to say about it, but thank you for letting us know. Anything else?
Joy is on.
Good morning, Joy.
She says, "You're so right, Rosemary. The masses of hysteria always happens around the voting time, though."
Oh, does it really? Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, what does that tell us, I wonder? Anyway, moving on. We're glad you could join us, Joy, and what a fabulous name, and I hope you are. Not only do I hope your name is Joy, but that you are joy and joyful.
Laura Lee is on.
Good morning, Laura
And
Lee.
she says, "Aloha. I'm so happy to have found you here. A friend referred me to your book, The Eagle and the Rose, recently, which I am deeply grateful for this support at this time in my life."
Thank you for that. You might want to tell us where you got the book from, because somebody else is having trouble getting it.
They're looking for the Italian copy.
Oh, they're looking for the Italian copy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. But any library will have it, let me tell you. So, and if you can connect with, for the lady who couldn't find it in Italian, if you go to a library in Italy, or you can call them even, I'm sure they'll have a copy for you. So
Laura Lee said, "This morning I woke up with an urgency to find you, and what a pleasant surprise it is to find you here live. I will sign up to be on your email list and stay tuned for upcoming offerings."
Oh, darling, that's so nice. That's so nice. We love new people, and yes, just as a reminder, you do have to excuse me, if you want to be on our mailing list, you do have to email us and request it, because we will not automatically put people on our email list. So, you know, in the subject line when you send us an email, and again, I'll remind everyone, Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com. If you want healing, if you want to be put on the mailing list, if you want to know more about the books, or about the CDs or the DVDs, or whatever it is that we have out there, if you want to know more about YouTube, if you want to know more about our workshops and lectures that we keep promising, but
We're closer and closer every day.
But I have been down now for nearly a month, so, you know, but we're getting closer and closer every day for all of that. So, you know, please put in the subject line so that it's easier for Michelle to know where to put you, and she can deal with you much more efficiently and quickly if you do that. So I think that's it, right? Are we done? Nothing else, Michelle?
Not yet. I'm watching the love you guys. Blessings till next time.
Remember, stay well, stay healthy, boost your immune system, do whatever you have to do to find the joy in life, which is always the most important thing. And please have a very blessed rest of the day. You can join us this evening with Al Pisano. We are going to be talking more about the coronavirus, but much more about how people get themselves into, you know, this state of hysteria, and what we can do about it, and how we should deal with it. So we're going to be talking about that. That will be on our Facebook page, Eastern Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And of course, for all of my students out there who have class tonight, I shall see you later. And for the rest of you, again, have a very, very blessed rest of the day. Please have a wonderful rest of the weekend. Have a very blessed weekend. Find the joy in life. Look for the positives. And, don't worry too much about toilet paper. We do have soap and water out there, That's it. Bye. And I have to find that button now, don't I? There it is. Is that a
Top.
thing up there? There you go. Then.
It's top.
And can't see a thing here. Can't even see what it says. Hold on a minute. Let me get my glasses. I think I'm still live doing this.
Are you sure you want to stop streaming?